Exciting news! Module 24 preview is now available to the public, including Hell Pit, which should be coming out next Thursday. Now immediately you will notice we have a new campaign, and it's called Northdark Reaches. So yes, it will entirely be an expansion to Underdark within Neverwinter. Now this campaign looks pretty fancy from the get-go, has a similar campaign progress tracker as we've seen with recent campaigns like Dragon Slayer, Dragonbone Vale, and overall I definitely prefer that system than the much older ones. We can quickly have a look at the rewards, and initially you're getting Northdark Adamantite, which is a reagent to create Blaspheme Weapons. So we'll be getting a new weapon, and we can see these other ones are also reagents, these two. At the bottom here, we're getting 1,500 companion equipment. Ooh, that'll be interesting. Some companion upgrade tokens, 50 to boot. Get a bunch of characters in here farming that now. And then 100,000 Astral Diamonds. Unlikely you can get that multiple times. And then Companion Equipment Choice Pack with 1,600. Wow. We have previously only had a maximum of 1,400. Will be nice to see. We'll check collections shortly and see what that's all about. And boon points seem to be a separate thing. That's very nice. They're not taking away from, let's say, the rewards here to add silly boon points. Hopefully at some point they'll add new things that boon points can actually be put into. But right now we still can't fill everything out, so I guess they ain't got too much pressure in that. But we've got then some assembly. Ooh, these are the Blaspheme Weapons. Nice, nice. We can immediately see the visuals on those. A little bit odd that one's smaller than the other, but I think you can get them symmetrical on either side if you convert both to appearance items. But with that aside, on the rogue, you can see that these weapons have an interesting bonus, but most likely you will be able to upgrade them with the reagents from the campaign. So that's going to be that task. You'll need a bunch of stuff there, and then ultimately you'll get this here with an eerie spider totem, which looks like a new belt item, which you're going to have to restore, potentially toppling the forger spot for DPS, as we can immediately see it's having an increase of stats of combat advantage, and then a set of 2 stats as the random stats you can gain. All right, and then just some currency there. Now let's check the store, the Northdark store. Immediately here we have just the campaign store section, and you can get a bunch of vanity pets, nothing special I guess, and you can exchange a lot of the currency, which is this new currency, to rough astral diamonds, along with, very nice to see it, some companion upgrade tokens. Unfortunately, on a weekly haul basis. And these currencies are down here. We can just quickly look through them, and we have some gems there along with some more gems. Then we go to the consumable section. Ooh, we're getting new overloads. Nice, but we can also get this surprise box, which is going to be a random chance to obtain companion equipment of 1,500 along with 1,600 along with 1,600 with the single stat. All right. Hopefully that's not the only place we can get them. Then you're getting the spider key, which is going to be for the new dungeon, Temple of the Spider Master. Don't know if the dungeon is going to be completely new. I cannot say the testing that I've done with it, but very likely it's going to be something like along the lines of the rework they did with Tiamat, which is pretty nice. They got some nice combat reworks with Tiamat, at least for me and my experience playing it. I've had lots of fun with it. And then we got some overloads against Drow. I guess that's going to go in line with the new dungeon. And then you have the Drow ward, so it's reduction from Drow. And then you also, oddly enough, have some Myconid ones. Potentially that'll just be for the zone. Maybe they add Myconid boss in Temple of the Spider. Who knows? And then ultimately Underdark Lurker, which seems to just be critical avoidance, and it can be doubled within Underdark. All right, but we move to the next section and we have, wow, yes, a bunch of companion gear, 1,600 legendary stuff, and we indeed have some decent stuff like a single stat, pure outgoing healing. Awesome. Love to see it. Is there ones? Oh yes, there is. Pure accuracy for DPS there. But do we have better ones? We have awareness for a tank. Excellent defense and awareness. Crit strike, outgoing healing, not so great. Pure incoming healing there. The stats seem to be a little bit off on that. We get crit severity. Awesome. And we can scroll back up to the top here. Yes, we got pure combat advantage 2400, and otherwise you do have some mix of dual stats like combat advantage and crit severity. Overall, some very good options here. Yeah, pure crit strike there as well. These seem to be all just the single stat ones here. We can quickly look through them, and then on the left side there, these seem to be the dual stat ones, and they're going to be ranking them basically higher and lower on this companion surprise box. You can see the single stat ones have like a very low chance, and the dual multi-stat ones have the low chance. Anyway, very good. You can just grind the currency and buy it yourself here. That's good to see. And otherwise, that leads us to the new gear. It's going to be legendary stuff here. We can just preview it all real quick. Keep in mind, again, this is all the preview server. Things are open to change. But the headpiece, when you kill an enemy, you gain 1 action point. Awesome. 1% of your action points. That headpiece will be different if you're a tank or a healer. The tank can gain 10% extra threat generation, and the healer can gain 10% divinity, performance, or soul weave regeneration. We have never seen that on a gear piece before yet. Really good. Armor piece, a little bit odd. You do 3% more damage to enemies that are not facing you, and this is doubled in Underdark. I don't see how it's competitive with like the ribcage and other bonuses which give 15% stats. 6% damage is not going to be good versus 15% stats. No way, unless that's purely multiplicative. We'll have to test. The arms piece, giving that chance when you critically strike to deal 150 magnitude damage around you, could be useful, but with a 15-second cooldown, I don't think so. And the boots there, you can see you gain 3000 power in Underdark, and you gain more effectiveness in the Temple of the Spider depending on your role. DPS would gain 5% outgoing damage. That is great, actually. If the Master Temple of the Spider is going to be like something we're grinding a lot, those boots are definitely going to be best in slot with 5% damage plus 3000 power. Love to see it. Let's have a look again at the weapons there, and we'll have a look at what happens when you restore them as well. Basically, you're gaining 7500 power, defense, or outgoing healing depending on your role for 15 seconds whenever you dodge, block, sprint, or shadow slip, and can only occur once every 30 seconds. So not really reliable with only half of the uptime, but then when you deal combat advantage damage, you have a chance 10% to gain 5% outgoing damage or incoming damage resistance or outgoing healing depending on your role, again for 15 seconds and again only for 30 seconds. So not the best uptime. I'll have to do a little bit more looking into that, but it will be interesting to see what happens when we go to upgrade them. That's about it for the new campaign and the store. Before we go into the nitty gritty of the collections, which we do indeed have a whole new bunch of stuff, including the legendary weapons, let's have a look at the new zone. We do have Help It here returning, and we'll go over that probably in another video, as this other one would be far too long, as Help It's not exactly related to the new module. But we go to Sergeant Knox and we get the quest, the Call of a King. Accepting that brings us to our portal, and we can teleport to the Underdark Gauntle Grim Throne Room. We'll head over to Mr. Brunner here, and we pick up a quest from him, which requires us to travel to the Northdark Reaches, where we can ultimately head to the new zone. We got our cutscene here. Lighting looks a bit grayed out. They have been telling me they're coming out with new lighting improvements. Potentially they don't have the finishing touches on this, so you can excuse them for that if you think it's in any way a bit off. However, we can reset our graphics back to default if we just use the sliders here. Maybe it'll look a little bit, yes, it looks a lot softer. That's probably what they intend. We can speak to this guy, and we probably have a whole quest train we can follow. Not something I'm going to go through right here, but let's have a look at like the hub area with all the NPCs. Open our map, and wow, that is big. And indeed what Oracle was saying, there's a lot of heroic encounters. Alright, I'm not the biggest fan of them, but if they play out well, maybe they will be a good experience. But let's have a look at these NPCs. We do have all our quest givers just there. We have a little bit of a hub area with lots of mushrooms, some pretty cool lighting. We do have our general seals vendor, I assume, here, but we may as well have a look at the new gear from the seals. Wow, this gear is going to be different. You can see here is the set. Looks very odd. I'm not a fan. But the headpiece you can see is like first minute in combat. You will gain 600 fortitude every 5 seconds and you stay in combat for longer than 1 minute. The following effects depending on your role. You basically lose a whole bunch of power. It sucks. The armor piece, 1000 power, 1000 crit strike for each person in your team. That's really good. Up to 10,000 stats. Arms piece. You activate daily power, increase damage dealt by your at-will attacks for 15% for 10 seconds. Maybe for a barbarian and a rogue, probably not for the rest of them. And the boots, looking really good. When not in a party, you gain 5,000 defense, and when in a party, 10,000 accuracy. We have not seen boots with 10,000 of something, with 10% effectiveness there. If you're of an augment, you might not be able to fit that in though. And those boots are different depending on your role. On a tank, you can see they'll get 5,000 critical avoidance when not in a party and 10,000 deflection when in a party. And the healer boots will give you 10,000 outgoing healing when in a party. Pretty neat. And then you have your shirt and pants, which seem largely to be the same with just different stats. The shirt giving the stamina over 75%, 3% additional damage, and the trousers when your stamina is over 75%, you take 3% less damage. I love those. Excellent. Always wanted them to bring those bonuses back. Very nice. Then this guy just here, the campaign vendor, we've already seen that with the stuff there. Love to see that companion gear. And we just have a supplies vendor here. That is the zone just there. We can have a quick ride around and may as well pick up our quest here. We have some more NPCs just here, these being some Myconids, some more repeatable quests. All right, straight in as well. But let's see what he's going to bring us to, and we can have a quick look at the visuals of this area. We may as well go with no HUD and you can see a bit better. Campfire over there, and we can already see our first enemies. Those are indeed like Myconids. More of them just up here. So that's the reason for those overloads. So you'll probably be fighting a bunch of new funny Myconid creatures. Definitely interesting. Love to see the addition of new monsters so we aren't always stuck with the same old. Now these enemies here will just go, and I guess we have to kill them. Okay, they're going to be pretty squishy. Love to see that as well. And we got to examine the ground. Now, one thing to note is this campaign is going to be locked behind 50,000 item level. That is again another 5,000 up from the previous one. However, they will of course make it available for everybody like they did with Dragonbone Vale. For like the first 2 weeks or so, you can jump in and just get scaled up. So that's just a quick look at the zone. We won't go in depth too much, but let's quickly check the collections and see what kind of juicy things they have in store. First, we'll check the homepage, and we can see here's some announcements of Temple of the Spider rework, along with we have Roth Valley already. Hell Awaits, that's Hell Pit returning. Northdark Reaches from A. Salvador. He helped them out creating this zone with the new adventure inspired from him, or developed by him actually. At least the story, I guess, and they would have developed the artwork around that, and then the rest of them there, you already seen that. And looking in our queues section, advanced dungeon, we aren't going to get any access to the new Temple of the Spider rework just yet, but I have been testing it and it seems like good fun from the get-go. But checking the collections, we can see we have the legendary weapons, which are the upgrade. Are these going to be any good? Well, legendary, we can see they've ditched the power from the epic ones and changed it over to 7.5% damage or damage resistance or healing, depending on your role. It's still for 15 seconds after you dodge, block, or shadow slip. So that's just for all the classes. That shift power is for 15 seconds every 30 seconds. But you also do gain a bonus of 2% of, again, damage or damage resistance and outgoing healing while in Underdark. So that will be good for like the new dungeon and then also the zone. And then when dealing combat advantage, you have that same 10% chance to gain 5% damage, incoming damage resistance, and outgoing healing for 15 seconds for 30 seconds. I still don't think these are going to be as competitive as 5 stronghold weapon sets. We do have this Maiden's gear here, which the headpiece actually changes depending on your role. Then we have the Dragon Steel gear, which again is just that seal stuff as we've seen, with the boots being really good. The artifact relics, so we will have 2 new sets along with the new Forger's box. The perfect spider totem on Mythic just there, essentially giving 2% combat advantage and 1% damage against Drow. Maybe not as good as the Forger's box, and additionally you receive one of the following effects: either 2% crit chance with stamina regen, or 2% accuracy with action point gain, or 2% power with 2% recharge speed. Doesn't look as powerful as the Forger's box for me, but if you need combat advantage, that is at least an option. But let's have a look at this set. We can see it's got the artifact Assassin's Dice. We can have a look at that artifact on Mythic up here. Assassin's Dice will have the ability to throw it at your enemy, dealing significant damage and then marking them for 15 seconds, and they will basically lose 5% crit chance, 5% critical avoidance, and 5% deflect severity. Reducing critical avoidance means increasing your critical severity, and reducing deflect severity means increasing the damage you do if it dodges. And it does then have the set bonus to go with that of just 1.5% crit strike and 1.5% critical avoidance, doubled in Underdark. Pretty underwhelming. We move to the next set and we can see again that's got the artifact. This time it's called the Tentacle Rod. Deals a little bit of damage 4 times to nearby enemies, so it's an AoE one. An enemy struck will lose 5% movement speed, awareness, and will take 5% more damage from your party for 10 seconds. Excellent. Another debuff artifact. Very good because it also reduces the enemy's awareness, which they can go into the negatives, which means you deal extra damage. Now the set bonus for that, we can see, looks a little bit more interesting. It's got there, you can see 3% extra defense, and when struck by an attack, you have a chance to deal 100 magnitude damage around yourself. Can only occur every 10 seconds. Doesn't look too impressive to me. Then we move to rings, and wow, we got some new stuff here. Some new Mythic Rings. This is a lot to go over. I'll be getting hoarse before this video is out. But we have this really cool ring. You cast a damaging AoE ability and you'll reduce the target's defense and awareness by 3.5% for 5 seconds. That can be really good on some classes. You do have to cast a damaging AoE, so that can be like an at will, and that is a debuff. You're increasing everybody's damage against that target. That is pretty much the best in slot ring any tank can use to increase everybody's damage, as they always just use an AoE at will for threat anyway. It does appear to have a set with it, the Dark Maiden set. You gain 3000 fortitude and your attacks have a 10% chance to deal damage around you of 33 magnitude. That is very interesting, and we can see that you can use any of these mythic rings to complete that set. We have a ring here which just range damage 3%. When hit a foe, you gain 1500 crit strike for 4 seconds, stacks up to 5 times. That is pretty good actually, but a lot of ratings that people might not make a lot of use of, as that would be a total then of 7500, so like 7.5%. Not too great. Other rings are better. 3% melee damage. When you hit a foe, again, you gain 1500 power, so that's up to 7500. Then you gain 5% combat advantage, and when in combat with 2 or more enemies, you also gain 2.5% power. That's great. An AoE ring. Awesome. With combat advantage to boot. And then you have, whenever you have shield or temp HP, your attacks have a 5% chance to reflect 50% of the damage back to the enemy to 200 magnitude max. Alright, that's a guess for a tank more so. And then we go to the next ring, which basically just gives you 10% movement speed, Why not? And then another ring. When you cast a healing AoE, so an area effect that heals somebody that only hits you or one ally, the target gains power and combat advantage of 3.5% for 5 seconds. Interesting. I don't think it will be used much. And then you have the obligation ring, 5% crit strike, and when in combat with 2 or more enemies, you also gain 2.5% crit severity. Very nice. And then you have when hit a foe, you gain 1500 defense, again stacks up 5 times, and then 3% less damage taken from ranged attacks. Nice. Hopefully this ring actually works. And then we can see we have a bunch of these purple rings which seem to all have the same bonus there, or at least there's 2 bonuses there. Basically you have one which when you're struck by a foe you gain 10% chance to summon a Myconid, who will deal damage for you, and then you also have 5% movement speed in Northdark, and this effect can stack. Interesting. You could have 2 of those rings then for extra movement speed, and otherwise they just have a mix of different stats. Now we see some clothing here. This is the shirt and pants that we could see before. These shirts giving the stamina, over 75% bonuses of 3% damage and 3% damage resistance, and then these ones down here, they're pretty nice item level 1500. When you damage or heal your foe for a maximum of 15%, you will gain 1 action point, and then the pants giving you essentially 5% defense when you're hit for 15% or more. Not bad for survivability. And finally we have all that companion gear which we'd gone over. There's a bunch of the single stat ones which are going to be great, nice high item level. And finally we have a bunch of fashion here which can't show this set. Actually I can, it's right there. There's a full set. Look really weird. There's no like body within that. Assume it's not finished. And then you have a mask here which won't show for me. And then you have your vanity pets here as well. Like I guess these are from Temple of the Spider Master. They are indeed. Vanity pet of the Dark Stalker. I assume these are going to be the different bosses. That's pretty interesting. Leaks on that there. Haha. But that's about it for module 24. We will be getting a rework to Demogorgon, but nothing here on the preview server just yet. Same as nothing with the new dungeon. Oh wow, that's a dragon. We probably don't want to go fight him just now. Yeah, no, there's no way we're going to kill this by myself, and we'll see. Probably there's going to be a lot of grinding of heroic encounters for currency. I wouldn't be surprised for that, but that's nice to see. New dragon type. Wonder what abilities he has up his sleeve. Although it does look very much like a black dragon. So again, a special thank you to all of these channel members for helping me keep my channel going. And if I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like. And if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention. They added a search bar to the inventory. That is great. If you're looking for that potion, which you cannot freaking find, type in potion and you'll find anything that's listed as a potion in their name. You can do the same with companions here. You can manage your companions and you can search for all of the ones, for the name of all of the ones you have.